What's up, everybody? Hope you're having an amazing day out there. I'm Phil, and today's video we're going to check out the King in Yellow from Lichtlaerm Audio. Let's roll that intro clip and then get straight into some riffing. All right, you beautiful people out there. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate anybody joining the show so far. Okay, what we got today is the King in Yellow by Lichtlaerm Audio. Lichtlaerm Audio is a company which is located in Berlin, Germany. I think it's actually a one-man show. Daniel, he does all the pedals, and he's doing an absolutely amazing job. He's kind of sweeping across the entire metal community, and everybody's loving his pedals so far. And he also released very recently a new amplifier, actually, the Prometheus, which, you know, is getting outstanding critiques by all of the YouTubers out there who are pre-ordering it so far. This pedal in particular has been provided or borrowed for a few weeks by the wonderful, the other John Brown to me. Thank you so much, John. I absolutely super appreciate it. This is a wonderful pedal, and this is a wonderful showcase how we small YouTubers and also bigger YouTubers out there are interconnecting with each other and kind of forging a community together. So it's super cool to be a small wheel within, you know, the huge machinery of gear nerds on YouTube. With that out of the way, this pedal over here is absolutely incredible. I really dig the features which we're getting over here so far. It's super flexible. We're gonna explore as much as I can cover in such a format. Let's roll directly to another scene in OBS, and let's talk about the pedal layout first. First off, I want to apologize for this absolutely crappy secondary camera. I unfortunately don't have any other stuff going around over here, so we have to work with what we got at the moment. The King in Yellow by Lichtlaerm Audio. It's basically a Tube Screamer variant, so it's very similar to, you know, overdrive boosts, which are kind of reflective of a Tube Screamer circuit. I would assume that there are a lot of different tweaks going on, which Daniel made sure. It has a lot more gain on tap than a regular Tube Screamer. I think the internal headroom within the circuit is 27 volts, so it's pumping super hard, and you can get some awesome chugs out of there. You heard the difference before. Let me shortly demonstrate that again. This is the pedal turned off. By the way, signal chain. Let's talk about that. I got my Fenix ST30 over here, which has a Seymour Duncan SH-5 in the bridge. That goes into these two pedals, and that then goes straight into my Bugera 6262, which is set quite moderate, so not that hot. And that is going to my Marshall 1960 AV cabinet, which is mic'd up with an SM57. Let's get back to the pedal over here. So that's my signal chain over here. This is what the amplifier without boost sounds like. That's quite a normal bass tone, if you want to say so, which you can scope then with overdrives. This is what it sounds like with the pedal turned on. And you already can see that the level is not maxed out, so we do have more headroom to bring in even more gain and saturation into this tone over here. But I'm going to leave it now where it is. From a feature set, this pedal is also absolutely unique. It not only features level and gain, as you would assume with any kind of overdrive, it also has 4 different EQ bands which you can control. The low mid, the high mid, and the high frequencies over here. It has 3 different clipping modes which you can set up. I personally don't think that they make that much of a difference. There's like a slight difference going on over there, but nothing which is, you know, which is like groundbreaking or super changing. But the absolute unique feature of this pedal, and this makes it stand out of all the competition, is the blend feature over here. The blend feature allows you to basically set up a different overdrive, or basically, for a matter of fact, whatever pedal you want to use, in kind of an effects loop over here. And then you can blend the tone of the King and Yellow together with that respective device. In this case, I'm using the Custom Badass Modified OD. The reason for that is that this overdrive brings an inherently different type of saturation, especially to the Bugera 6262, which is a copy of the 5150 MK2. We're going to explore that feature in a moment, but first I want to just talk about the King and Yellow itself and guide you through the tones which you can sculpt. Now, you already heard it over here with the level setup in and the gain like totally down. We're getting this kind of tone over here. Yeah, let's move on because this is fairly generic, you know, in how it kind of pumps and boosts the amplifier. Let's talk about the EQ, because I think that is where this really differs a lot from other Tube Screamer variants out there. Now, the EQ is super flexible. You can do a lot of stuff. I'm just gonna turn them down to an extreme. So I'm just gonna take out all of the lows over here. Listen to what it sounds like. Now, where you usually would want to go ahead and kind of cut out the low end with using this type of boost, you can actually add lows in the signal chain. But to be honest, the frequencies are well thought of. It does sound, of course, a little bit muffled compared to the other settings, but not in an unusable way. It's actually quite pleasant, and I really dig that Daniel made himself so much thought. Let me try again over here. So you can hear already, the more low end you're pushing into it, of course, the higher of a signal or the more energy your signal is getting and pushing into the amplifier and also respectively into the pedal. And therefore you're kind of getting more gain. So at some point, of course, it's flubbing out a little bit. I like to leave that in the noon position. Next up, we got the high mids. Now the high mids and the low mids, the low mids are the next one. The low mids and the high mids are very strong in sculpting your tone, which is natural because the guitar is kind of a mid-range instrument. Let me shortly demonstrate a very extreme setting and take out all of the low mids. You can kind of get that genty sound, which I personally know of the Horizon Devices Precision Drive. These you know, that kind of dry sound, I would say you can get that really cool out of this pedal by twisting the high mid knobs. I'm gonna push that now to the very other extreme, just that you can see or hear the range. It's almost quacky like a wah, you know, like a wah which you set up, which does not have that, you know, spring back retention or whatever you call it. So that's a really cool effect over there. I personally like to leave that somewhere around noon. Now, depending on taste, you might add a little bit or you might take a little bit away. I'll just leave it a little bit below noon. So you can see like it's kind of 11-ish o'clock. All right, next up we got the high mids over here. We're gonna do the same like we did before, kind of testing out the range of the EQ. Now the high mids completely taken out. Now that tone kind of takes all of the, let's say, relevant information of the guitar signal, and it leaves back a little bit of a muffled tone over here. That can be useful for slower stuff in particular, where it's not super important that you have that super clanky precision and attack, like I'm always doing with my thrash stuff. This is the noon position. And you already can recognize that, by the way, how I'm playing, that I'm digging more into the strings. It kind of happens automatically. I personally, before I'm going to set my recommended setting, we're going to push that to the very extreme, to the top. I'm not sure if you can already hear the amplifier. Now, when cranking the high mid, you're getting actually a lot more gain, because that's where the guitar is kind of living in the frequency spectrum, and that's super hard pushing the amplifier. So that's very interesting how much you can play around with this. I like to set this a little bit above noon, you know, like just a tad. Maybe it's kind of a pseudo effect, but I like it. Let's leave it that way. Okay, next up we got the highs. Now, to be honest, the high frequency band is more of a finessing, so it's not super strongly getting into the signal's way. It's kind of sculpting the final polish, I would say. You know, I like to leave that at noon, to be honest. I'm not going to change that one. So those are my preferred EQ settings. So we have like a very, very slight V-shaped curve, basically. Sorry for all the wigglies of the camera. It's attached directly to the table. Let's walk through the different 3 clipping modes. So to be honest, I'm not sure what switch position indicates what kind of clipping. Putting it to the very left, like we have it right now, gives the brightest tone, while I have the feeling that setting it to normal or to the center, we're getting kind of a more balanced tone, and then pushing that back, we get more of a muffled tone. I could be wrong. It's very hard to make out actual differences. Maybe you guys can comment and chime in on what this actually exactly does, so which modes are set up. I personally prefer it the most when we're setting it to the brightest settings, because if I want to take away the brightness, then I would do that rather over the amps EQ or just over here over that 4-band EQ. But I like it the way it is. So, again, the pedal as it is. All right. Now, what I want to try out is I'm going to set the gain super low on the amplifier. Because I want to now just try out what happens if we set the level down and we crank the gain knob. Just want to try it out. Let's get actually funny with this. I'm going to set up the clean channel on the Bugero 6262. Give me a moment, I'll be right back. All right, so this is the clean tone. I have not tried this out yet, so this is a first. We're exploring this together. This is what it sounds like when I engage the Lichtlaerm Audio King in yellow. All right, that's cool. Yeah, so of course it's now a little bit thin. But there's now where the EQ comes super much in handy. We can set up a little bit more lows. Let's crank the low mids a little bit more and maybe tame the highs a little bit. So we're kind of reversing the curve which I had before. Yeah, that's maybe a tad too much. Let's roll back that low end. Now remember, we're coming from this tone over here. That's impressive. That's impressive. Well, not my favorite tone, to be honest, of course. Pumping up the lead channel so strongly with an overdrive is not my type of tone. But this is giggable, definitely. Like, if I would be in a hurry, I could just take that, smack that into a clean channel, and be done, for the evening. Okay. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Moving back to the settings which we had before. Now, let me go ahead, slightly going away from the low mids, slightly pushing the high mids. Highs are in center. So we were somewhere over here. Let's try that again. I can actually take away a little bit more of the level. All right, now we're there again where we were before. Now comes the absolute cool, unique feature, the blend option. Now the blend option consists of two controls. We got the blend itself and we got the polarity. Now the polarity is super important. Let me first showcase what happens if you have this pedal turned off and you put the blend completely over here. The cool thing is, you have the same thing like bypassed. You have a little bit more noise which is integrated by the pedal itself and by the electronics, but that's absolutely okay. But this is already a cool thing where you can set up the blend according to your taste. So if you want to kind of just blend a little bit of the King in Yellow in, then you can do that. For example, in my case, let's just make an experiment. I'm going to go ahead, set the gain from 2, which we currently have, to 5. Now having the amplifier completely, without the boost, basically, would sound like this. And if we now want to tighten that up just a tad, we can use the blend over here to kind of get to that result. And of course, if we go to the blend completely, we have total overkill because we're boosting an amp which is set pretty high in gain already. So now I went ahead again and I dialed back the gain to the standard 2 which we had before. Yeah. Now let's try it out with the custom badass modified overdrive, because if I put in the blend over here and I turn on this pedal, this is what my amplifier usually would sound like when I'm using the MXR M77, which is the same thing, custom badass modified overdrive, M77. When I use the overdrive from MXR as the boost for my Bugera. What I've now done is I have boosted the 100 Hertz setting over here, so that's pumping up the low end on the MXR, and I'm using the blend to kind of find the sweet spot between those two pedals over here. Let's just pretend that the sweet spot would be at this point. Now what you can recognize is that my volume is kind of fading away at some points. Let me do that sweep again. Now to be honest, in this setting, it even sounds better if I turn off the boost instead of the amplifier. What's happening over here? What's happening over here is that there's phase cancellation between those two overdrives in this particular blend setting. And this is where the polarity comes into play, and this is super smart actually that Daniel has thought about this. Because what happens when I flick the polarity switch, let's try that out. So first, the amplifier without anything. Now with the Lichtlaerm in this blend configuration. And now, polarity switched. This is amazing, amazing. This is the standout feature of this pedal. I'm not sure if the MXR M77 was the right choice to demonstrate the blend functionality, but at least you can get a picture on what it does. And now would, of course, come the huge task. What is the best drive to kind of put in the blend? What would it sound like if you use a chorus, for example, instead of an overdrive? So now you have the entire world of possibilities, you know, endless sonic possibilities, which you can think of in using this over here. But to be honest, I like it the most when we're setting it as it is, you know, just using the King in yellow, because I personally like a lot that girthy, gritty attitude which it brings to the tone. So again, let's do that comparison again without the pedal. Again, 100% blend to the MXR. It just tightens up the amplifier in a vastly, vastly different way than my, so far, my favorite boost for the actual Bugera 6262, the custom badass modified overdrive. But maybe the King is already dethroning the actual King so far, the M77. I'm really, really, really impressed by this amazing, awesome pedal. That's, wow, what can I else say? Let's wrap this up with a little bit riffing, and then after that we're going to get to the conclusion, shall we? All right, if you couldn't take it already away out of the video, I'm gonna say it. This is an absolutely fantastic overdrive. There's nothing bad to say about this, not even if we're, you know, circle jerking all around and we just want to be positive at something, even though I'm a big fan of that attitude, but there is nothing bad about this pedal. The price is absolutely fair. Here in Germany, I think it's 180 euros or 179 euros. I'm not sure if that already includes taxes. I think so. And that makes the price even more fair if you consider how flexible this is, how good it sounds at what it does, and, you know, what the competition costs out there. So I can highly recommend the Lichtlaerm Audio King in Yellow. And this pedal has made me super curious for the other Lichtlaerm Audio products out there because everybody's raving about them. I did believe the hype, but now I'm fully convinced and I'm also within the hype as well. This is amazing. This is a really good overdrive. If you want one, go get one. I'm gonna link their page down below for you to, you know, check it out. You know, they have a lot of different other stuff out there as well. They have a super amazing noise gate, which everybody's raving about. And if that only has like a portion of the quality of what this pedal offers and the flexibility, then you're golden. Then, you know, yeah, Lichtlaerm Audio, the King in Yellow, absolutely fantastic product over here. Gonna put that aside, and with that, let's wrap this video up. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you had fun, just like I had, exploring this pedal out here together with me. If you like what I do over here, then please consider subscribing, sharing with your friends. Let's talk a little bit down in the comments. Do you have the pedal? Have you played it? Who made your favorite demo of this? Yeah, let me know down below in the comments, and thank you everybody so far. And again, John, you're the man. Thank you so much for sending out this pedal. This is gonna arrive you in good condition, and of course, as we aligned, with some other stuff coming your way. All right, everybody, have a great day. See you in the next video, and until then, keep it metal.